Well, folks, good day to you, one and all, and it's time for Nxtgen Racing, and it's going to be a blast tonight once again. Good evening, everybody. So that's where we're going to be tonight. It's going to be awesome stuff. Can you believe it? The opportunity to do what we love on a Thursday night. Nxtgen Racing, Proto Season 4, round number 5 from the iconic Monza circuit. I think it's going to be utterly brilliant, and a full packed field of cars that's going to be out there. All of our favorites, and well, anything can happen in this form of motorsport. We're going to have a 20-minute qualifying session, which is going to be coming up, which is in fact just started now, and then we're going to be going from there into a 20-minute race. Then we'll do a total invert of the grid, and we'll go into a 1-hour race directly thereafter. So that is the way that it is going to start out this evening. Good evening to you one and all from my side, Gary Fleming. Great to be with you again this evening, and I hope that you guys are going to enjoy this one with me. And we're 2 minutes 25 into the 25 minutes that we're going to have for the qualifying. Let's just go and have a look, see who is already out there on circuit. There's the likes of Nigel Stock. Quite a color scheme that he's got going there. Jorge Benitez also out on circuit. He's had a pretty good time recently, I must say. He'll be pretty chuffed with his results in the last couple of races. Owen Patterson. Lovely sticker job. Look at that one. It just looks fast if you look at the motor car. Nick the Sharkman Clevens in his favorite colors. Mark Baker, oh, one of the quickest out there in the LMP3s. So not everybody out on circuit now. Why? Because it's the LMP3s that all of them go out together, and then when they have had their 12.5 minutes, they will then go into the pits, and the LMdHs will come out, and then they will have their session from there. So let's have a look at the LMP3 log as it stands at the moment now. That's what it looks like. Mr. Mark Baker on 119. Jorge Benitez. I think that Jorge Benitez is in with a very good look at the way tonight is going to be, because in the practice session he was doing pretty well as well. So Mark Baker on 119, Jorge Benitez on 112, Mike Ridner on 86, Sean Skitter, the South African, on 84, and then Owen Patterson, Trevor Evans, and Nigel Stock. That is your driver standings after 4 rounds have been completed, and well, it's open season, I think, between Jorge Benitez and Mark Baker. Both of them have shown their ability to sit tight at the front end of the field and do whatever they need to do to pace, to take pressure, to give pressure, and just be the full package out there. Jorge Benitez, the fastest man out there so far. Jorge Benitez from Owen Patterson, Mark Baker, and then Nick Clevens. That is the way they look right now. As let's have a look and let's see how the Sharkman Nick, how he goes with this one. Oh, looks like he's pushing pretty hard. So to the folks at home that's watching us, good evening to you one and all. Where are we going to be tonight? It is going to be a lovely round. There we go. It is the Season 4 of Proto, round number 4 from the Monza Grand Prix circuit. We are into the qualifying session, 6 minutes into the 25. Remember, it will be 12.5 minutes for the LMP3 guys. And for those of you that have just joined us, welcome. Great to have you with us. And a big thanks to IMB Raceway for their involvement in Nxtgen Racing. So back to the practice session we go. Looking pretty good up front at this stage of the fight for Jorge Benitez. Remember that point standings up until now. Mark Baker, the man that's going to find himself under a bit of pressure. Because Mark Baker has got the highest points on 119, Jorge Benitez on 112. And Mark Baker finds himself third on the grid. Oh, he finds himself fourth on the grid. Nxtgen's coming through. He's already on the front row of the grid. Is he going to be able to go any quicker? All it's going to mean is it's going to swap sides on the front end of the grid. Because he's already got himself onto the front row of the grid. Jorge Benitez, the fastest man out there now. Jorge has just completed yet another lap, and he finds himself on a 1 minute 44.861. 1 minute 44.861, with Nxtgen's 2/10 slower than that. The shark man, Nxtgen. He rides in the GT3 series as well. Owen Patterson with that lovely sticker job that he's got. Mark Baker, the man that's under pressure right now, is leading on the points. But Jorge Benitez is leading on the qualifying board at the moment. If you think about it in real terms, Mark Baker is 0.4 of a second off the fastest of Jorge Benitez. Now, if you take that as a marker, that is actually quite a lot in a 1 hour race where you're doing a lap in less than 2 minutes. Let's see what he can do now. Can Mark Baker knock himself up onto the front row of the grid? He's on the outside of row number 2. No, he doesn't. He doesn't manage to make it any quicker. Let's see what was the lap time that he actually did. A 1:45.2 and a 1:44.8. That's the difference between Jorge Benitez and Mark Baker on present speed and pace right now. Jorge Benitez is on the outlap, so he's going to go for yet another one. Going to make sure that it all works out for him. We watch Mark Baker as he works his way around the track. Let's get a track map up there. We can see exactly what that looks like. That is the iconic circuit itself. So let's have an exploded view of that circuit. Monza GP layout. Parabolica. As you come out of that parabolica to Variante 1. And that is very good passing maneuver position on that one. You've got to block it off pretty neatly up against the pit wall on the right hand side going down into that. Curva Biasono is flat foot third gear through to fourth gear up into Variante 2, and that is very much a similar tight left right hander as what you've got in the Prima Variante. Then Lesmo 1 and 2. Lesmo 2 is slightly more opened up than Lesmo 1. Seraglio, major speed. Flat foot stuff all the way down to a Ascari, and then a straight run, and you can see the entrance to the Parabolica from a long way back, and you can line yourself up to make sure that you get the best possible results out of that one. So that's how it's going to play itself out. And Mark Baker's actually stopped on the circuit. He says, well, I can't go any faster than that. So Mark Baker, that's worked his way back to the pits, he says, that's it, I'm going to be starting on the second row of the grid. He's not going to be able to get any closer to the front end. Mike Ridner has also decided that's about as good as it's going to get. He ain't going to get any further forward than that. "12 minutes has gone, so basically their time is just about up. The LMP3s. And then the next group that will go out will be the Protos, the LMdHs. Into the pits goes Jorge Benitez. He'll be happy with that one. 1 minute 44.861, just 31 thousandths of a second quicker than Owen Patterson. He's working his way down through Parabolica. He'll be going back into the pits now as well. Nick the Sharkman also working his way through the Parabolica. Demon tweaks on the side of that motor car. And into the pits he will go. Oh no, he finishes that lap off just to see if he can go a little bit quicker. And then he stops because then the rest of the guys are coming out, and this is the LMDHs as they work their way out onto the circuit. There's Nigel Stock. He works his way in. So Benji M, Benjamin McCluskey, he's out on circuit. Gaza, Gareth Williams, lovely color scheme on the Nxtgen racing car. Mark Sykes is out there as well. He's had a pretty good run recently, I must say. Jochen Sigurd. Oh, look at the front lights on these motor cars. They look so hot. These cars are blindingly quick. Gustavo Frigotto. He's got the lights on. He's expecting to pass a bit of traffic. That's why he's got the lights on. Mr. Stefan Wessels, the man that everybody wants to catch. The 27 BMW. Wesley Lewin works his way around. That's the end of his warm-up lap. Remember, they come out of the pits, they do a warm-up lap, and then they start with their first flyer. Paul Williams out on circuit as well in the 7 car. It's got that British sign on the side. Alan McCain also out there as well. He works his way down towards the Variante 1. That's going through Curva Biasono. Flat foot all the way through there. No lift off whatsoever. Keep on trucking all the way up there. Then you climb hard on the brakes. Turn it in. Sharp left. Curbstone. Sharp right. Touch of curbstone. Then flat on the gas again into Lesmo 1. That's pretty much a 90-degree corner. And then Lesmo 2 is a little bit less. It's around about an 80 to 85-degree corner. Now, down Seraglio. As we ride on board with Alan McCain underneath the Fly Emirates bridge he goes. Down towards the Ascari. Sharp left, sharp right. Look at the... you've got the curbstones, but then you've got those sausage curbs, which is 90 degree to the circuit. You don't, with these cars, want to touch that whatsoever, because it's going to cost you. Down towards Curva Parabolica. Ease it in there, and then make sure that you don't run it too wide, but you've got to get on the gas kind of early. So the fastest man out there so far is in fact Wesley Lewin. No, it's Alan McCain that comes through behind him. Alan McCain from Wesley Lewin from Paul Williams. Where is Benjamin McCliskey? Here he comes through now. Bang! To the top goes Benji M. And Stefan Wessels, 1800ths of a second behind him. Gustavo Frigato is in there as well. Interesting stuff. The front three. Gustavo looking very, very good at this stage of the fight. So let's have a look at the point standings for the LDMHs. How are they standing at this stage of the fight? Stefan Wessels, 113. Benjamin McCliskey, should I say, 113. Stefan Wessels, 118. So that's a straight battle. It would have been a three-way battle, but Gareth Gazza Williams didn't ride the first meeting of the season. For that reason, he's not there in the 113 to 118 range, and for only that reason. Igor Martinez from Paul Williams, then Nick Klibbans, Stakhiakis, they are all in there. Duncan Murray, right a long way further down. I think Duncan Murray is in fact going to be in today. I'm sure I saw his name earlier on. Yes, Duncan Murray, the South African, he is in, but he has not done any timed laps yet. So the man that leads the championship is qualified second. The man that's second in the championship leads the qualifying. Frigato is down on 27 points in 12th position, so he needs this. Everything that he can get out of this one, he needs. There's no doubt about it. And then Mark Sykes, he is down in 15th position, so that's going to work out just fine for him at this stage of the fight. Let's see how they're going out there on circuit. Where is Benji B? There he comes around now. That's on the way down towards the Parabolica. He's on a warm-up lap. Let's see what it looks like from inside that cockpit as he works his way around. And a big thanks to all our sponsors for Nxtgen Racing. You'll see them up on the right-hand top corner. Right, here comes Benjamin McCliskey on his way down the straight. Let's keep an eye on exactly how this one looks from on board with Benjamin McCliskey. Now look how tight this one is. There's a spot where a lot of people spin it around because in real terms, if you want to get good drive out of there, you've got to be in first gear. And in first gear, these cars just spin up the rear wheels and swap ends, and you're heading straight towards the scene of the accident, down towards that complex. Hard left, hard right. Look at those sausage curves. Keep it on the gas. Go down towards the Lesmo 1, 90-degree corner. Oh, tentative on the entry, using everything around about 80 degrees. Part 2. Oh, that was nice and smooth. That was very smooth. Down Seraglio he goes. Takes a light curve towards the left-hand side. That downhill, you pick up massive amounts of speed. Flat foot in 7th. All the way down to 3rd. Miss those sausage curves. That's a 90-degree. Oof. Towards the circuit. Well, Gazza is in there. Gazza's in that second position. He's bumped himself up onto the front row of the grid ahead of Stefan Wessels, and that by 0.05 of a second. So given that there is such a small difference in a 1 minute 32, just a bit more than a tenth of a second, can Gazza go any quicker? 132.815 is the fastest that Benjamin's done so far. Nope, he's realized straight off that it's not going to be any quicker than that, and he stops alongside the circuit. Oh, Gazza making a bit of contact there, and that blows his opportunity at a fast lap. Stefan Wessels, where is Stefan? That's the Parabolica. Can Stefan knock Gazza? Here he comes through now. Stefan Wessels, second row of the grid. hundredths of a second. And no, it's not any quicker. Stefan Wessels stays on the second row of the grid. Frigoto, what can he do? Here he comes through the parabolica now. He's on the out lap, so that's not a problem. Now he's starting his flyer. And then Paul Williams is also on the out lap. He's just warming up those tires nice and smoothly, making sure that he gets the maximum that he can out of those tires on the flyer. 9 cars that are going to be out there in the LMdH class, and then another 6 that's going to be taking part in the LMP3s. So for those of you that have just joined us, welcome. Fantastic to have you with us. Where are we today? It is a iconic track, an iconic event. Nxtgen Racing Season 4 Proto round number 4 from the Monza Grand Prix circuit, and this coverage is brought to you by Second Gear Productions. And well, it's an honor to be able to do Nxtgen Racing. I'm very, very proud of the fact that we are linked up with Nxtgen, Second Gear Productions, and you can then in fact get some more of the Second Gear Production Racing. If you go onto YouTube, go to Second Gear Productions, and that is where you'll be able to see some of the South African side of motorsport, what we do back in the southern tip of Africa. Frigoto goes to the front. Gustavo Frigoto goes to the front. Can you believe it? He's knocked McCliskey to the left-hand side of the grid. That is utterly brilliant. Back into the pits he goes. There he stands. Luckily for McCliskey, he's on a flyer. And there's still 2 minutes to go. So this is the only chance that Benji M has got to get back onto the pole position. He is on the front of the grid. Where is Stefan Wessels? Not that far behind him. Stefan is just 6 thousandths of a second off of Benjamin McCliskey, and he slowed right down. So he's not going to be able to bump himself up onto the front row of the grid. Where is Gazza? Here comes Gazza now. Gareth Williams. Can he go any faster? Nope, he stays where he is as well. That's not going to change. Where's Paul? Paul will make it in time to complete this one. So he might knock one of the biggies off that top step. It's not impossible. He's so close right now. Look at the concentration as he works his way through the parabolic. Cuts that as tight as he can. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Paul Williams 2/10 off. Can he go any quicker? Paul Williams not been able to go any quicker, and there's only seconds left for this one. Alan McCain, here he comes through now. He's 2.2 off the fastest lap time in his class. He doesn't manage to up the pace there either. Wesley doing? Where is Wes? Now, I don't think he's going to make it. Well, he might. That's going down towards the parabolica. He might just make it that the computer allows him to complete that lap, but it's kind of unlikely. Oh, and he's gone right off. He's gone right off. So that is the end of that. And that comes to a blinding stop for him. Wesley Lewin will just slow it right down. Gaz is still... Yeah, there he's finished off his lap as well. Where's Benjamin? I don't think the computer's going to give him enough time to be able to complete that lap. I think it might cut him off. And at the end of the day, all that Benjamin is going to... Oh, Gareth! Gaz's knocked him off the front row of the grid. No wonder Benji is still out there and flying, using the curbstones, the extras and more, because Gazza has got himself up into that second position. He's knocked Benji M off the front row of the grid. There's Benji. Can he get back onto the front row of the grid? You're looking at 1200ths of a second is what he needs. Nope, it's not going to be. Benji will have to start on that second row of the grid alongside the man that's the closest to him on points, which is Stefan Wessels. So, interesting stuff. Can you believe it? Can't wait for this one to actually start. Just wait for them to get ready to come up onto the grid. As we said, that Monza circuit, iconic, utterly iconic circuit. It's been there since 1949. The GPs have run here all the way through the Grand Prix. And, well, there's no reason not to run Grand Prix on this amazing circuit, because it's got all the runoff rooms, it's got everything you require, it's got the necessary grandstand facilities, 5.793 kilometers, 3.6 miles of action-packed tar track, which can give you some of the best racing that you can wish for. And keep in mind, with the variation of corners, you've got everything that you need in terms of setup for how to make the car turn. You've also got these long continuous straights where you need to be able to get in there and get the power down and get that straight line speed. Frigotto from Williams, McCliskey from Wessels, Williams from Sykes, McCain from Sigurd, Wesley Lewin. Then the LMP3 guys coming through directly in behind that, and that is led out by Owen Patterson from Jorge Bentes, Nick Clibbons, Mark Baker, and Mike Ridner. Baker will not be happy with that result so far. That's not what he wanted and or needed as the man that's leading the championship. Nigel Stock from Duncan Murray, that's going to be starting, hopefully going to be starting, because he has not actually clicked in yet, so he might, it's possible, be starting from the pit lane. Don't know why. Maybe he's got some connectivity problems. But there's the pack as they stand. There is your track map. You can see where the guys are standing. The calm before the storm. And this one is going to be getting off the line in just a couple of seconds. Adam McLean kicks in, and he was the last person that was not on the grid yet. Our safety car hooks first gear. He's just about good to go. Alright, here we go, folks, for our first race of the evening. Are you ready for this? This is going to be good. The calm before the storm. Just think about what it must be like for these guys right now. There'll be adrenaline rush of note. Working their way down towards that final corner. And now the heart starts pumping. It's just about time to go. Pace car pulls off. Gaza and Frigotto on that front row of the grid. Who is going to get the whole shot down into turn number one? Remember, Prima Variante. That very first chicane is very, very tight. But it's green and off we go. It's Gazza that gets the initial jump, and Benjamin McCliskey, he's dived up on that inside line. Benjamin's actually sitting in a perfect position at this stage of the fight. How do they all get through there? Benji takes it very tight. Oh, that was Vessels that got in there, and Benjamin's been turned around, and somebody's lost their back wing. It was a 3 abreast. Look how Benjamin's going to just turn that one around and try and get it going again. He's got to wait for the LMP3 cars to go through. Oh, that's exactly what he didn't need. Gazza leads them out. What a terrible, terrible start for Benjamin McCliskey. Let's have another look at that one quickly before it disappears from our screens and sights. He did it all right up until there. Vessels was on that outside line. They were 3 abreast. They made it that far. And then that light contact. Then he had to turn it around. Then he had to wait because there was cars coming. That's all the LMP3s. So back to where the action is. Gazza is up front. Gareth Williams. Frigato. Mark Sykes. Oh, Mark Sykes up into that 3rd position as he works his way through Parabolica at the end of a lap number 1. Now, after that little, shall we call it, tete-a-tete, Stefan Vessels finds himself 5 seconds off the back of Gazza. Now, we know traditionally there's nothing much between the two of them. Wesley Lewin, Paul Williams. Then there is a gap back to Duncan Marie. I see somebody that's on his way into the pits. That's Jochen Sigurd. Owen Patterson leading out his class. Benjamin McCliskey, that's recovered. He's passed all the LMP3 cars already. Nick Clibbons finds himself, the shark man, in that 2nd position. Jorge Benitez is going one-on-one with Mark Baker. Who's going to win out on that? That's 1st and 2nd in the championship. They do not want to make any contact. Nigel Stock directly in there behind him, and he's watching the 2 big hitters. Let's ride on board with this young man, Nigel Stock of Crest Autosport. That's the 2 big hitters directly in front of him. 1st and 2nd overall in the championship points. Remember, there's nothing. Oh, and he spins it out completely. That's going to cost so badly because he was right there. Let's have a look at what happened to him. Yeah, he just caught that sausage curb. Luckily, no damage there to the car as he gets that one sorted out. Remember, I spoke about those 90-degree curbs, the sausage curbs. You've got to be so careful with them, and that's cost him pretty dearly. Back to the front end of the field. Oh, Gazza's doing it all right today. Once again, Gareth Williams leads them out. Then there's Frigato. There's Mark Sykes, Stefan Vessels, Wesley Lewin, Paul Williams, all of them in the same shot. Duncan Murray, that I think started from the pit lane. Then in the background behind him, there's Benjamin McCliskey. And after that first corner incident, and then here comes that LMP3 battle. Owen Patterson, Nick Clibbons, Jorge Benitez, Mark Baker. As we ride on board with Mark Baker, the man that leads the LMP3s down into Variante 1. Look at that, flat foot all the way underneath the Fly Emirates boards. You just keep the hammer down and just keep on turning. You hope that there's no problem around the corner, because if there's a problem around the corner, you're not going to see it, you're not going to know about it, and you're going to come flying around the corner at top speed. Oof, very close to that sausage. Oh, and there he's gone. That must have been... No, that must have been a back marker. That it was Jorge Benitez. It was Jorge Benitez. Let's see if we can pick up that one for you. Yeah. Oh, exactly what he didn't need. And it ends up pointing in the wrong direction. A nice little recovery, that. Staying out of the way. But look how everybody just comes piling past. Jorge Benitez, exactly what he didn't need at that stage of the fight. And I mean, if you look at the points, it's so close between them. It's exactly what Jorge Benitez doesn't need, because Jorge Benitez is 7 points behind Mark Baker. And then he goes and has a spin like that. That is a disaster at that stage of the fight, as we ride on board here with Mark Baker as he works his way past the pit entrance. Let's go back to the front end of the field. Gaza, he's got a nice little gap between himself and Gustavo. Then Stefan Wessels. Mark Sykes holding onto the back of Stefan Wessels. He's not letting Stefan get away from him. Now, if you look at what we've seen from the beginning of this series, it was all about Stefan Wessels and who can catch him and or hold onto him in some or other format. But the rest of the guys have just picked up the pace so well. It's phenomenal the way that the guys have actually closed down on Stefan Wessels, and he has not had it all his own way whatsoever as they come through now, passing the back markers. Mark Sykes goes past Sean Skitter. The next man that's going to be there in front of him is going to be Wesley Lewin. It's just climbing behind the steering wheel. You don't want to get held up at the wrong spots here. Does he go first gear? Yes, he does. Oh, that's actually very, very dangerous to come out there in first gear, because you've got massive power to weight ratio there, and you can spin it up and spin it around very, very easily up to 7th. Flat foot all the way through there around Curva Biasono. It wasn't too neat, but it was okay. It will keep him in play. And I think let's go and have a look at the front end of the field and work our way down. Gareth Gaza leads them out. Remember, he didn't do the first round of the season, so he needs every point he can get. Gustavo Frigotto, Stefan Wessels, Mark Sights. He's got the Nxtgen Racing colours and livery on the side of that car. Now, Mark's got a 4-second gap back to that man, Wesley Lewin. Then behind that is, in fact, Paul Williams. Coming through behind Paul Williams, there's Duncan Murray, the man that started from the pits. Goldwing Motorsport. Take it, he likes motorbikes. Benjamin McCliskey on the recovery trail, trying to close up. Let's have a look at the last lap times that they actually did. How's Benji going? A 34.2, a 35.3 from Duncan Murray. So Benjamin McCliskey taking 1.1 second out of the car directly in front of him. So McCliskey on a 135 flat right now takes another 4/10 out of Duncan Murray. So almost 2 seconds in the last 2 laps that he's taken out. Who is the fastest out there right now? 33.867. Stefan Wessels. On the last lap, Stefan was the quickest man out there. There he goes. Whoop. He's pushing that one hard. Let's ride on board with the Master Blaster. Let's see how that one looks. Underneath the bridge he goes. 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, as fast as you can click those pedals. Oh, he got good drive out of the corner there. Stefan Wessels, a 133.867. 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Lap number 6 of this 20-minute race. That's how far he has managed to get so far as he works his way through. Ooh, you can't go. That's what happens when you get on the gas just a little bit too quick. Coming through the Parabolica. Let's see what kind of lap times he puts up now. 134.262. Yep, a 134.262. So once again, taking almost 2/10 out of Gustavo Frigotto, the man that's directly in front of him. Gaza has just upped dusted and disappeared at the front end of the track. It's not going well for Wesley Lewin whatsoever. Wesley Lewin has just been involved in an incident. The man from Jalen Performance coming down into the first two corners. Yep, you see, that's what happens when you get your front wheel on top of that sausage curve. It unweightens and unstabilizes the car completely. And when you climb on the gas, the one back wheel's got much more traction than the other. And what happens then, it just swaps ends on you. There's nothing that you can do about it. So Gazza is now coming up behind Nigel Stock. He's got a long run, a straight line run. So Nigel will be pretty aware that he's coming, but he's now not going to be able to take the perfect ultimate line going through that corner as he comes in there behind Nigel Stock. Nigel actually very nicely takes the Pink Mean Machine slightly out of the way just to make it possible for Gazza to come through there nice and neatly. Just behind him, there comes the next man through, Gustavo Frigotto. How far has he got in terms of safety from Stefan Vessels? Not much. Surprisingly, we find that Mark Sykes has fallen off to almost 2 seconds, in fact, that he was slower on the last lap. Let's see if we can maybe pick up if Mark Sykes had a off. Just trying to have a quick look here for you. I don't see anything specific on him at all. Let's just have a look at that last crash of Skitter on his way down in the CSA Porsche. Just too much rear end brakes on that one. Let's have a look at the Mike Riegner incident. Too many cars, too small an area. That was on lap 1, turn number 1. Yeah, he just overran it completely, went on the other side of the sausage curve, and then decided to just not take any chances and break the bottom end of the car, and left it exactly like that. So let's have a look at the LMP3s. Owen Patterson leading them out. Oh, look who's in there behind him. It's Nick Clibbins, the Shark Man. Clibbins is going to go for the dive, but he's going to have to go for the outside line. I don't believe he's going to be able to make it stick from there. But he's putting the pressure on. He's taking Owen Patterson to the limit. Patterson clips the curbstone, but lays off the gas long enough until the car levels out and flattens out. Then climbs on the gas. Looking back from Owen Patterson, that is an ominous sight of the Sharkman, Nick Clibbins. On his GT3 car, he's got a big set of shark's teeth liveried into the front end of his car. Picking up just a little bit. But now remember, coming through there is going to be Gazza Williams. He's the man that's leading this race. He's going to have a look around on that outside line. Look at that overall pace as he just blows past them. Going down towards Variante 2. There's that battle royal. Nick Clibbins all over the back end of Owen Patterson. Owen Patterson on 51 points. So he'll be looking for every single point that he can get out of this one. He's ahead of Baker. He's ahead of Bentes. They're in 3rd and 4th respectively. Nick Clibbins. Can he go for the passing maneuver on this lap? Patterson closes the line. Where are you going, he says. Where are you going? Where do you think you're going? This is my race, says Owen Patterson. Takes a nice smooth line in there. Makes sure that he stays completely away from the sausage curves. Clibbins grabs a whole lot of first gear. Boots the power in underneath the Fly Emirates bridge. Flat foot all the way around Curva Biasano. 0.3 of a second. the difference. Keep an eye on the leaderboard on the left-hand side top corner. Keep an eye on that gap between Stefan Wessels and Gustavo Frigoto. Not much in it between the two of them. The same size gap as what we got here. Ooh, a little bit of climb in to the curbstone, and oh, sure, Patterson on the limit. You could see the tail end was starting to walk away from him. He just eased out of the gas. That's Mark Sykes that's just come past him. I'm surprised he actually lifted off there. He could have gone for the dive up on the inside. Could Nick Clemens? Surprising that he didn't do it. Maybe he thought it was a little bit too marginal at that stage of the fight. Probably fancies to get a run down towards Parabolica and then consummate that up the front main past the start-finish line and the pits. There he's lining it up. Play with that gas. Play with that gas. Short shift into fourth, up into fifth. Adam McCain, he knows Clemens is right there. Closes off that inside line. You'll probably find he'll move towards the outside to get the fastest way through the complex. Yes, he does. Can't get much closer than that. Nick Clemens all over the back. You can see how he soars away at the steering wheel as he tries to get the power down as quick as possible. Maybe with the amount of trees that there is, can we get a blimp shot on that? Nah, there's just too many trees there, unfortunately. Would have been nice to get that blimp shot. So the man that's on the move right now, or trying to be on the move, on who's having an amazingly good race today, is Gustavo Frigoto. Frigoto's holding out on that second position, 5th overall in the championship. If I remember correctly, Gustavo Frigoto. And, well, he's holding sway pretty well. Doesn't have a problem with the pressure from behind. Stefan Wessels doing the close-up. Getting just quicker and closer all the time. Surely he's going to go for the dive this time around, but the dive's going to have to be around the outside. He's slightly ahead, but under braking. You can't get much closer than that. Playing it safe in the Semcrete CSA Porsche entry. Stefan Wessels, one of SA's best. But remember this guy. His name is Gareth Gazer Williams. He's up, dusted, disappeared. In the number 90 car, representing the UK and Ireland, and that's the battle for second. Directly behind him, Stefan Wessels following through, and then remember Marky Mark, he's there 7 seconds further back. Then we've got Paul Williams, was almost in the same shot, and then in the background we'll see Wesley Lewin. The comeback, Benji M, Benjamin McCluskey, working his way through the pack as best he can after that disastrous first corner incident that he had. For those of you that missed out on that first little incident that we had that cost him so badly, it looked like this. Benjamin McCluskey on the inside line from the second row of the grid, as tight as he can go, turns it in right on top of the curb, 3 into 1, and that width doesn't go, turns it right around, and then gets a bang on the left hand front corner, flicks it around, wants to get going. LMP3s come through, got to wait for all of that to come to an end, eventually gets it back out on the circuit, and that is the reason why that man is not fighting it up front with the likes of Stefan Wessels, who's still on the tail end. There's just now 5.5 minutes to go. So if he wants to pick up maximum points with this one, he's got to make use of it. Now, if you look at the points right now, Stefan Wessels in 118. Benjamin, that's now trying to make that comeback. He's in 7th position. Stefan finds himself in 3rd position. Gaza, that is on 80 points, that's missed the first round, that is 38 points behind Stefan Wessels, finds himself in a leading position. Now we know that Gaza doesn't make mistakes very easily whatsoever. He's very, very consistent out there. So all he's got to do is keep on doing exactly what he's been doing for another probably 2.5 laps. And it'll all work out for him. He's actually got a hope that Gustavo can somehow hold off the flying man behind him. And that being Stefan Wessels slowing down. Stefan Wessels has stopped. Well, we actually missed it. Can you believe it? That was coming across the line, and we're so excited about what's happening. We actually missed out on that one. It's the end of the race. There comes Mark Sykes. Mark Sykes has already done his last lap. Paul Williams, Wesley Lewin, Benjamin McCliskey. I was thinking that it's actually 25 minutes, but it was just 20 minutes. McCliskey, Duncan Murray, there comes a Jochen Sigurd that is going to still come across the line. Wow, it all came up on us. What an amazing race. You get so just absorbed by it, and you actually miss the checkered flag. Jochen Sigurd on his way through to pick up his 9th in class. Alan McCain, the next man that's going to come through behind him. Oh, he's actually spun it. It's Alan McCain. So he'll work his way down towards the parabolic. He's the last man out there on track. You can see Stefan Wessels was eventually just 1600ths of a second off Gustavo when they came across the line for the last time. So he's the last man to end up coming across the line. And that was your 20-minute first race of the day. And that from this iconic Monza circuit. Let that vision of that circuit get imprinted in your brain, because it's just next level. It's something else. It's one of the most iconic circuits in the world that you're going to see. And well, if ever you get a chance to race on a circuit like that, believe me, you need to go and have a look at that circuit. Let's see if we can pick up the results of that race for you. That'll be race number 1. There we go. So Gareth Gaza did a lovely job out there, keeping in mind that Benjamin was in that incident in the first corner. Otherwise, McCliskey would be a lot further forward. There's no doubt about that. So it's Gaza that's done a brilliant job. He wins out from Gustavo Frigoto. Brilliant drive from that 5th position overall in the championship for Gustavo Frigoto. Stefan Wessels trying every trick in the book in the CSA Porsche entry and not being able to get the 27 car past the 86. Mark Sykes eventually dropping off the back of the Frigoto Wessels battle, but holding sway into that 4th position, and with a decent gap between himself and Paul Williams in the 7 car. Williams with a decent gap from Wesley Lewin. The recovering Benjamin McCliskey that started off at the exit of Variante 1. When he got back onto the circuit, he was behind even the LMP3 cars, and he made that recovery from there. Duncan Murray in the Goldwyn Motorsport, Jochen Sigurd, and then Alan McCain in the iRacing Esports that went off right at the end of that one. Owen Patterson, brilliant drive in the Ignium Motorsport entry. That ahead of the iRace Esport, Nick the Sharkman Klebens, Mark Baker, the man that was leading the championship going into tonight's racing in the Speed 9 Esports 53 car. Jorge Bentes, that was 2nd overall going into tonight's racing, the privateer in the number 3 car that comes through behind Mark Baker. So Baker still keeps that little bit of a gap between the two of them. Then Nigel Stock, Mike Redner, and then the CSA Porsche of Sean Skitter that comes through behind that. So that is how that one plays itself out. And now we're going to have a short break. Everybody is going to be reinstated in a invert grid, which means the front end of the pack should be Alan McCain and Jochen Sigurd. Then it'll be Duncan Murray from Benjamin McCliskey. Now that is going to be the factor. Benjamin McCliskey is going to be on the second row of the grid. That finds him ahead of the big hitters in Stefan and Gustavo, and then Gaza as well. So I think that our race is going to be a case of if Benji gets through and he gets a gap and he starts running, can the rest of those big hitters, Williams, Frigoto, and Vessels, can they go and fetch him? Should they go and fetch him and they start holding one another up, can Mark Sykes then get into that and make that a five-way battle? So Mark Sykes is going to have to be on song and stay ahead of Stefan Vessels, Gustavo Frigoto, and Gaza for as long as he possibly can. Try and work his way past Paul, Wesley, Duncan, and Jochen, and then try and get a bit of a gap before Williams, Frigoto, and Vessels comes through. So Sykes is going to feel the pressure with this one. Is going to be a biggie. So we're going to take a short break, and we will then come back to you with the 1 hour race. And a big thanks to IMB Racewear for their involvement and sponsorship of our Nxtgen Series 2024. So guys and gals out there, hope you guys are enjoying the stream. We're going to be starting with the 1 hour race, and that's going to be in around about 2.5 minutes from now. So remember, on the restart, it's going to be an inverted grid for the two different classes as they ended up, the LMdHs and the LMP3s. The LMdHs, obviously the quicker of these two different types of motor cars. And we will be starting with that in about 1.5 minutes from now. Big thanks to all our sponsors. Joyce Design on board with us for the season. Higgins Motorsport. Sam Cases. Esports Motorsport UK. Douglas Motorsport. Benji Sim Photos. Mox Likes Designs. Right, folks, here we go. Nxtgen Racing Proto Season 4, round number 5. We've had the 20-minute race, and it was just too quick. It was just too short. There wasn't enough time to get to everything. And now we're going to have 1 hour of action that's going to be coming to you. And massive big thanks to Nxtgen Racing for giving Second Gear Productions the opportunity to join you for this season. And well, not just this Protos, but also for the GT3s as well. So that inverted grid, as we said it was going to be, Alan McCain and Jochen Sigert from Duncan Murray, that started from the pit lane, and Benjamin McCliskey, that was in a recovery run. He's going to be the man of the moment, probably with this 1 hour. Wesley Lewin from Paul Williams, Mark Sykes from behind that terrible trio, Stefan Wessels, Gustavo Frigotto, and then Gazza Williams. Just a little bit further down, we look at our LMP3s, Sean Skitter, Mike Redner on the invert from Nigel Stock, then the big hitters, Jorge Bentes, Mark Baker, Nick Clibbins, and then the main man of the 20-minute race earlier on today, and that is Owen Patterson. That's done so well. So for those of you that have just joined us, this is where we are. It is the iconic Monza circuit, the GP, the Grand Prix layout, 5.793 kilometers of pure brutal speed, 3.6 miles, and it's built right next to the city of Monza, north of Milan in Italy. It's been there since 1949. The Grand Prix have run there ever since the Italian Grand Prix. That is where it happens every single year. Unfortunately, there's been quite a high death toll. 52 drivers and 35 spectators have died in the history of this circuit. So 75 years, that's 87 people that have passed away. Lots of chops and changes that have happened with the layout of the circuit, and they've done what they've done to ensure that they modernize, and then also to ensure that the fatalities is reduced as far as possible. So there is our Nxtgen view from above. It's going to be Alan McCain that's going to be leading them out when the lights go green, and down towards turn number 1. Alan McCain from Wesley Lewin, then it's Benjamin McCliskey, then it's Paul Williams. In there behind that is a Jochen Sigurd. Everybody looks like they're going to get through okay. Stefan Wessels keeping it nice and smooth and clean. Here comes the big hitters. There is Gaza. There is Gustavo. Mark Sykes has already dropped through behind the 3 big hitters. Let's go to our LMP3s. Here they come through now. Sean Skitter, the man that started at the front row of the grid. Nick Clibbins, the Sharkman, ahead of Nigel Stock. Nigel Stock has got a gaggle of cars in there behind him. The winner of race number 1, Owen Patterson, all over his back bumper. Jorge Bentes, second overall in the championship. And Mark Baker, the man that leads the championship. They've all got past Mike Ridner that started on the front row of the grid. Oh, and going off the circuit and coming back, that was Duncan Murray. So it's really not going well for him. There is Duncan Murray that decided to get going then from the pit lane as such, and gets himself back out on circuit. You can see it all went wrong there right from the beginning. So look at that front row of cars. Everybody's so close. Let's go to Stefan Wessels and let's ride on board with Stefan Wessels, and look at that tantalizing row of cars that's there in front of him. He's so close to the back of Paul Williams. Williams stays on the outside. Wesley Lewin closing off that inside line. Oh, and they have a spin, and well, he gets held up there quite a bit. That's going to open things up completely at this stage of the fight. That's not what we wanted to see. And it was, in fact, I think Wesley Lewin. That's where the whole thing started. They spread out going down towards Variante 1. That's where the knock came. Turned around and everybody went flying from there. Let's have a look at it from Stefan Wessels' point of view. He comes through in their BMW Motorsport car. All fine at that stage of the fight. The action happens right in front of him. No way to go. Bang! He goes in there. And then the other man that was badly affected by that, obviously, is Benjamin McCliskey, as he got himself tied up in that one, turned around, and that from a second position. So that cost him very, very dearly. As we go back to what's happening out on circuit, it's now still Alan McCain that's leading out. Sean Skitter has unfortunately been involved with an incident as well. And that, in fact, could have been him and Nigel Stock together that was involved. Yeah. Oh, that was the incident that happened before that. And I think that started off with Nigel Stock. He was leading out the group at that stage of the fight. They were trying to get past him. Baker up on the inside. Not enough space. Baker gets turned around. Everybody else just piles in there. And, well, it was Sean Skitter that got himself in no man's land with that one. Comes through, does nothing wrong whatsoever, and here's this pile of chaos in front of him. That cost him very, very dearly. So how does that one now play itself out? The Sharkman, he leads them out. Nick Clibbins, the iRace eSports man, came through the best of that. The man that's second in the championship going into tonight's event. Just a little bit further back, there is Jorge Bentes. Well, I say just a little further back, but there's actually quite a gap between them with that one. because Nick Clemens has got himself almost 5 seconds on Jorge Benitez. Not far behind that, another 4 seconds back. There comes Mark Baker, the man that was leading going into tonight's racing. Then it is Mike Ridner. Then a recovering Duncan Murray. And that means that we've got 3 guys that are in the pit lane as such. There they are. That is Sean Skitter that's busy making his way out. Also on his way out then will be Owen Patterson, the winner of race number 1. Also on his way out there, that's Owen Patterson. He won race number 1. Nigel Stock comes out there as well. So what a turn up for the books. Hectic stuff. Now, Alan McCain has decided that he's going to take the opportunity, seeing that he started right at the front. He's up, dusted, and run, and hoped that with that pile up behind him, that he would get just a little bit of breathing space. Well, he got a little bit of breathing space, but unfortunately that little bit of breathing space has disappeared. 5 minutes 31 into this 1 hour race, lap number 4, and Stefan Wessels is doing what he did in the first 2 rounds for this season, and that is to put the pressure on big time. That is what he's doing on the circuit right now, is putting up major pressure and trying to ensure that he can get into the front and get away, because that man who's having the race of his life, Gustavo Frigotto, he's right in there behind Wessels. Now Frigotto has got to hold on to the back of Wessels before Wessels gets past Alan McCain, which I suppose to a certain degree is probably, with no disrespect to Alan McCain, is inevitable that is going to happen. Let's have a look at the lap times that they're putting up. Alan McCain just 3/10 that he was closed down by Stefan Wessels. Frigotto was, no, it's more. There's a 1:34.4, yeah, 3/10, a 1:33.8. That's 3/10 of a second that Gustavo closed up on the back. Now, that is why I say Gustavo needs exactly that to happen. He needs that Stefan Wessels gets held up. Because if Stefan Wessels gets held up, Frigotto can get to the back of him. Keeping in mind that these cars are very much aerodynamically designed to make use of slipstreams. So if he's close enough when the passing maneuvers happen, he can then hold on to the back of Stefan Wessels. And that is what he's going to need to do, because now that they've got a bit of a gap from Gaza. Where's Gaza? There he is in close attendance. A 1:33.8 from Gaza, a 1:33.8 to within 0.003 of a second. The gap difference between those 2 guys on the last lap. So Alan McCain feeling the pressure because Frigotto's right in there. Frigotto has come to play, and he's right in behind Stefan Wessels. He's got to get just a little bit closer. Surely Alan McCain's going to close that line off. He's got to go to the right-hand side. If he doesn't go to the right-hand side, he's going to lose it. He has to move across. Why doesn't he go across and cover that line? Because there comes Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels is going to work his way through, and he literally, Alan, gave that one away. He let Stefan come through. Maybe that was by design, that he thought, I'm not going to slow myself up. Let's rather let Stefan go, because if I hold Stefan and then Gustavo has a stab at it, and then Gaza closes up as well, I might end up being taken out. So give one and hold on to the next 2 places. Maybe that is the thinking behind Alan McCain, because now he's going to get closed up by Frigotto. But now while that happens, looking back from Stefan Wessels, that's the gap that he's got on Alan McCain. He's now got to make this one work. It's the first time that he's got open ground. He must keep on trucking, because he's got to get away from Alan before Alan, probably, no disrespect to Alan, gets passed by Gustavo. Oh, short shifting on those gears. Let's have a look, see where exactly they are on that track map. There you can see Stefan Wessels. He's 14 seconds that he is behind Jorge Benitez. So with that 14 seconds behind Jorge Benitez, he's got open ground to do what he does best as he comes across the line. A 1:33.893. Alan McCain, a 1:34.898. Massive difference. A second difference between the two of them. 3/10 that Frigoto has taken out of McCain. And while that has been happening, a 33.886, the fastest lap out of everybody there, was in fact Gareth Williams. Gazza, that's making the use of the slipstream and the opportunities to close up. Now, exactly where Stefan Wessels was sitting to get past Alan McCain, with Gustavo being the man that's closing up. So you've got the same situation now with Gazza, that finds himself 3 seconds behind Gustavo. He has got to get past Paul Williams very, very quickly, because the battle that he wants to join is the one that's just in front of this one, flashing the headlights as he comes down towards the second variante, saying, listen, Paddy, I'm coming, and I'm coming very, very fast. In fact, that was a Scari that they just went through. So he picks it up at the right spot. Gazza onto the back end of Paul Williams. This is where he can make use of the slipstream. And Frigoto, I think Frigoto's just made the passing maneuver. Yep, he has. Let's have a look, see how that one played itself out. Gustavo climbs out behind Alan McCain as they went into the Parabolica. Oh, track limits and more. Alan McCain trying to fight back on that one, but that's how that passing maneuver played itself out. So, oh, look at the traffic in front of him. Lots and lots of traffic there. Let's have a look. What has Stefan Wessels got in front of him? Lots and lots of traffic. He's going to go past Mike Ridner in the not too distant future. Remember, that's two different classes, so his closing speed will be very big on the back end of Mike Ridner as we ride with Stefan Wessels. Frigoto's just 0.6 of a second behind him. There he sits, ominous. Gustavo Frigoto, he wants a piece of this, and in fact, I think he might fancy that he could actually win this race, going past the Mike Ridner car. A half a second now between himself and the man directly behind him. That's the gap back to Gustavo. The two of them have broken quite a distance away now from Alan McCain. There they go. There comes Alan McCain just behind them, and Gazza is getting even closer. Just behind that is Benjamin McCliskey. He's done the fastest lap, a 1:33.6. Oh, that is blindingly quick. Benji M, a 1:33.6. And he puts in yet another 1:33 lap, a 1:33.979. That is way quicker than anybody else. I mean, if you think Stefan Wessels, okay, he had a bit of traffic, yes, at 1:35.2. Gustavo a 1:34.4, Alan a 1:36, Gazza a 1:34.5, just a tenth slower than Gustavo. And then this driver of note, but he's 8 seconds back, is Benjamin McCliskey, and that all because of that first corner incident that took him out of it, completely out of it. And well, let's have a look at how that one played itself out. There's Benjamin McCliskey representing the UK and Ireland. All goes well until there, 2-1 gets turned around, and that's where it all comes to a dismal point of no return. Well, what could have been no return, he is making the return, and he is busy closing down, hand over fist, putting in amazing lap times. a 33.979. He's already done the fastest lap out there. If you look at the best lap times, it's Benjamin on a 1:33.601 as he goes past the MP3 LMP3 class leader Mark Baker. Let's see what is the lap times that they've just put up now. Hammering it down through the gearbox. Well, Stefan Wessels has upped the pace and he's actually been closed down. Frigotto has been quicker than him. Can you believe it? Frigotto believes that he can win this race. Frigotto is in fact 0.06 of a second quicker. Oh, sliding the tail end out as they work their way past some of the LMP3 cars. But he's actually been 0.06 quicker, has Frigotto been, than Stefan Wessels. Alan McCain holding sway just a tenth slower than Gaza. Gaza doing a 34.4. Benjamin on a 34.8. So Benjamin was obviously passing traffic on that last lap. That took him out of the 1:33 range. What traffic has he got in front of him now? Well, not too bad. He's got Mark Sykes. That is the next car that... no, McCliskey's going to come up behind Paul Williams. So that's Paul Williams is the next man that is in front of Benjamin McCliskey. There will be quite a difference in speed. Look at that. Just blasts past LMdH versus the LMP3. What times does McCliskey put up this time around? A 33.9. But that's not quicker than Wessels and Frigotto. It's in there ahead of the time of McCain, and it is quicker than Gaza. But look at the gap that he's got. He's 4 seconds off Gaza. And that's not going to be an easy one to close up whatsoever. Just on the 4 seconds. So keep an eye on the gap between Benjamin McCliskey and that of Gaza. 3.9. Can he close down on the back end of Gaza? Can Gaza close down on Alan McCain? Alan's doing a brilliant job. I mean, he led out the first dozen. Well, I can't say a dozen because we've only done 11 laps. 16 minutes, 48 into this one. And for those of you that have just joined us, where are we? That is where we are. Season 4, Protos, round 4 from the Monza Grand Prix circuit. That is where we come to you today from that Monza circuit. And what an iconic circuit it is. Just look at that layout. Parabolica, Prima Variante, Biasono, Lesmo, Seraglio, Ascari. All those names which just roll off the tongue. Iconic, 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 iconic circuit. This, I just can't say it enough. So let's go and have a look at who's at the front end of the field. It is Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels has gone to the front, and that is why. Oh, major chaos. Total chaos that went down there. Let's have a look at that one. Gustavo Frigotto went for the inside, went for the outside, then made contact. And then it was the LMP3 that got in the way. And then he went through. Stefan Wessels was passed by him at that stage of the fight. Wow, action plenty. Gustavo then eventually getting back onto the circuit. Doesn't look like there's any body damage there. He actually recovered pretty quickly. That was quite fine and well. That not all happened. Mike Riedner got himself involved as well. Mike Riedner in the Speed 9 Sports eSports car. Yep, just too much back brake, and that's what happens with these cars if you've got the brake balance set up to get the maximum traction on the back wheels, and then you gear it down, and then you try and rotate the car at the same time. It just doesn't work. So, oh, what a lovely race. Welcome to Nxtgen. This is awesome stuff. Slightly less cars than normal, but what a brilliant race. It is Stefan Wessels that leads out. There is Gustavo Frigotto Right in behind him is Alan McCain. Alan McCain's having a look at the outside because Gaza is in there as well. Look at the three of them. They come through there so neatly. And Gaza's in the house. Gareth wants to play with. He's closed right up onto the back of them as we ride on board with Gareth Gaza Williams, a 35.2, 3/10 quicker than Alan McCain. A 38.6. Now that's because Gustavo was involved with that last incident that we just showed you. A 37 for Stefan, but that is the difference. A 38.6 and a 37. That is why Stefan is ahead of Gustavo. Alan McCain with Gaza right in there behind him. Gustavo's not having it all his own way. Two B-class riders going up against the A-class of Stefan Wessels. Gaza is a 4.99, the highest rating that you can get on A. 4.99. What an amazing rating. In my next life, I'd love to have something like that. Can Gaza... Oh, very hard in, but is he going to lose out on the way out of Parabolica? Yep, he loses just a bit of ground. Gustavo closes off that line. He's going to try and have a look up on the inside of the inside line. That's how they come down towards the first corner, and that is Alan McCain that makes up that position. Can you believe it? Alan McCain that led all those laps. Then they slowly but surely worked their way past him, and now lap for lap Alan has just gotten quicker and quicker, and Alan McCain is now starting to pass the big hitters. You say, who's these guys? I don't care what their names are. This is what it's all about. Alan McCain in that second position, making it look so sweet. Gustavo ahead of Gaza, and look who's come to play. Benjamin McCliskey. Benji M is in the house. Let's go right on board with Benjamin McCliskey. That's what he sees. Gareth in front of him. You'll see as they turn in now, you'll be able to see Gustavo. There's Gustavo. Just in front of that, blowing away into the future, is Alan McCain. Alan McCain is having the drive of his life. Let's go a little bit further back. Mark Baker's been involved with an incident as well. That's the man that is the highest point scorer in the LMP3s. Took a little bit too much curbstone, took a lot of extra curbstone, and that turned himself around. Now that is disastrous for him. That is the last thing that he needed right now for Mark Baker, because remember, going into this series, Mark Baker, well, into tonight, Mark Baker was leading out from Jorge Benitez, and that's going to cost him pretty dearly. Jorge Benitez finds himself third overall in class, that behind Mark Baker. So Baker's managed to hold off all the aspirations of that man Jorge Benitez. Total disappointment after the win in race number 1 for that man, Owen Patterson. He won race number 1, and handsomely. He looked really good, very confident, very smooth, made no mistakes whatsoever, blew the pack. And now he finds himself, after that horrible incident, Owen Patterson finds himself so far back, 50 seconds off the back of Mike Ridner, and even at a second of that, you can't make up that much in that period of time. Let's go back to Benji M. Oh, Battle Royal. Battle Royal. Gaza sitting right in the middle of that one. Doesn't get much closer than that. Dives towards the outside. The inside line is covered. Ooh, late on the brakes as well. He might be able to make that one stick. Yes, he does. He clocks it straight across the front and goes to the sharp end of that little battle. He'll be pretty chuffed with that one. Benjamin McCliskey coming through behind Gaza. Gustavo getting past, becoming the front car in that three-way battle. What does it look like if you look back? Oh, ominous look, headlights ablaze, saying, my man, I'm with you all the way. The GTB sponsorship on the side of that car, all three of them using the whole track and more. 25 minutes into this, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have to go for at least one pit stop. Let's see, has there been any pit stop among the big hitters so far? No. Duncan Murray and Paul Williams at the back end of the LMdH class, because of the fact that they've been in. Owen Patterson after all that damage, and Clibbins, Baker and Bentes, they've all worked their way into the pit lane, and there we will see them. Let's see if we can get a little shot of that pit lane for you to see who's going to be first in, last out. Yep, there they all come in. Ooh, overshot the pit box there as well. So coming towards the pit exit, that's Nick Clibbins. He's going to be the first man that's going to be out in the LMP3 class. Who is going to be the next man? Remember, Benjamin McCliskey that was sitting on the back of that LMdH pack. He has now come in, so he's not going to battle with them. He's going to come in, get some open ground in front of him, and get out again. Nick Clibbins is in and out of the pits. Who's going to be the next one? It's going to be the man that's leading the championship going into it, and it's Mark Baker. Jorge Bentes, the man that was in second position, he works his way out. Mike Ridner will then be in that fourth position, and Owen Patterson is still out on the circuit. He has made a stop, but that stop that he made was in fact for the damage that was on the car. So let's go back to Stefan Wessels. He hasn't made any stops yet. Benjamin McCliskey is on his way out of the pits. There he comes now, Benji M. Now remember, he was part of that initial right up front battle, and he was sitting in behind Williams and Frigotto. He had nothing to gain by trying to fight them. He had everything to gain by going into the pits, fueling up and getting some open ground in front of him. The first man he'll get to will be Nigel Stock. He won't have a problem to get past Nigel because the LMdH cars are much quicker than the LMP3s. It's just a case of at what point does he get to Nigel, and with a bit of luck for him, as he comes out of the corner, you'll just put it across onto the right hand side. Nigel says, there's a bit of open ground for you, keep on trucking, and the pit lane is busy. Gaza has gone straight through. Alan McCain has gone into the pits. Stefan Wessels has gone into the pits. Gustavo Frigotto. Marky Mark's in his way there as well. So the big hitters are all in there. Alan McCain, what is he going to do? Can he get out quick enough? Who is going to be the first of these guys to get out of the pits? Stefan sitting there. Gustavo sitting there. Who's going to be the first man? Oh, Wesley Lewin coming into the pits now as well. You'll see him in the background as he works his way in. And the first man that's going to make his way out is Alan McCain. Oh, they side by side as they come out there. Stefan Wessels has to back out of the gas. And then it's going to be Gustavo Frigotto. He went a little bit slower on the pit stop there. And then Benjamin McCliskey will be the next man coming through. And Benji's on pace. Benji's on pace. He's going to dissect them. And come flying through is Benjamin McCliskey. So Gustavo Frigotto, having had a brilliant race up until now, it's all gone wrong for him. There you can see Mark Sykes that's busy on his way out of the pits. There comes Mark Sykes. He'll work his way out. So only Gaza that has not been out so far and, well, into the pits. Oh, Gaza's on his way in. Gaza has just worked his way into the pits. Let's see what that one looks like from the roll bar. Here he works his way in now. 2.9 kilometers behind him is Alan McCain. Make that 2.8. Make that 2.7. Alan McCain is closing. Can Gaza get out of the pits before Alan McCain gets across the start-finish line? 2 kilometers. But look at the battle that Alan is in. Alan McCain Wow, he's got Jorge Benitez and Nick Clibbons in front of him. He's going to clear them and get away from them completely. 1.3 kilometers, 1.2 kilometers. Gaza is still in the pits. Gaza is still sitting in the pits. He is not coming out of the pits yet. Alan McCain works his way around. Can Alan recover that lead position? I almost think he can. Gaza is only now on his way out. He hasn't come out behind the wall. Where's Alan? Alan's going to be right in there, and Alan McCain comes past. Alan McCain with Stefan Wessels all over his back bumper. Oh, and he runs wide on top of it. So let Stefan Wessels go back through in front of him again. That was the right thing to do. A very sportsmanlike conduct, if we can call it that. So that was brilliant stuff by Stefan Wessels that worked his way through. Alan McCain in that second. Then comes Benji M. Gustavo will not be happy with the way things have played out through the pit stops. It's cost him so desperately as he works his way up past Owen Patterson, the winner in the LMP3s of the first race, who's a long, long way down. There comes Gaza. He's just about 2.6 seconds further back. Then Jochen Sigurd is the next man that comes through behind that. So that's the pit stops. Now let's look at the pit time as such for all those guys. 42 for Stefan Wessels. Alan McCain had a brilliant stop, 37.8. Let's hope that there is enough fuel in that car, because 42, 41, 41, even Gaza 39 and 37 for Alan McCain. So he was a lot quicker. Now that is the total pit lane time as such. So maybe he was quicker on the entry and the exit and ran it on the rev limiter to be able to make up the difference in the pit lane as such. Let's have a look at the total gains and losses as we watch Jochen Sigurd. It is pretty much no, let's go back to Nick Clibbons, I think, because Nick Clibbons has now got Owen Patterson not that far behind him. Gains and losses, Stefan Wessels, the man that started virtually at the back end of the pack, worked his way through to the front. Alan McCain that started at the front, and in fact, he started in pole position. He's gone one position down. One up is Benjamin McCliskey. He started in fourth. He's up to third. Frigoto that did so well in race number one, he's gone up 5 positions, but he'll be a little bit miffed with this because it just didn't work out for him that last couple of laps before the pit stops, and then the amount of time in the pit, and then the exit to the pit, and bang, straight into traffic as well once again after that. So it didn't work out too well for him. Who it has worked out very well for is that man, Nick Clibbons. Because look at the gap from Nick Clibbons. That's up 6 positions. He's a lap down on the LMdH cars, but it doesn't matter. It's not his race. That's not his race whatsoever. It's only the LMP3s that he's interested in. But Nick has got a 26-second gap on the winner of race number one, that's managed to somehow drag himself back into contention, and that ahead of the man that started today's racing. There he comes, Jorge Benitez in second position overall in the championship from the man that was leading the championship, Mark Baker, that now finds himself fourth in class. Mike Ridner coming through behind that. He's got a bit of a lonely race going at the moment now. And with those accidents earlier on, Nigel Stock a little bit further back from there. Paul Williams has just had an incident, and he was going pretty well up until that point. Paul Williams, Team Tetra Rouge, coming into a second of the complexes. Oh, he just banged the front of the car up against the wall. Oh, look at that wheel alignment. It's completely out. Paul Williams has got major handling problems with that car, and he's have to go back to the pits. Unfortunately for the championship leader going into today's race, Mark Baker, in the Speed 9 esports entry, he's had an off. Yeah, he just tried to back out of it and not make contact with a car that was directly in front of him, but he gets it going pretty quickly. But unfortunately, that has cost Mark Baker, because there's now quite a gap between himself and the man that's ahead of him in the championship, and that is Jorge Benitez. 7 seconds to that man, Jorge Benitez. That's going to cost him kind of dearly. Paul Williams has in fact now come into the pits after that massive accident that he had, and I say massive because there's a lot of damage to that car. Here you see as he comes down into the complex, just a little bit too much, and bang, he goes into the wall. So he had to go back into the pits for that one. So Paul Williams is in fact in the pit lane. Not too sure how long he's going to end up standing in that pit lane. It's very possible. There you see, there he's standing. That is Paul Williams, and that is going to be a horrible one for him. So let's go from the top end down. We're 35 minutes into this 1 hour race, and a big thanks to IMB Raceway. So back to the racing we go, and it's all about this man up front once again doing a brilliant job. Stefan Wessels, he asserted himself in the first 2 rounds of the season, and then somehow he just didn't have that ascendancy over everybody for the next 2 rounds, and now he's got himself back up there on pace. Probably in the same shot, just about in the same shot. Yep, there he comes, Benjamin McCliskey. And Benji M, Mr. Consistency, he's got himself back up into that second position. Keep in mind that he's been involved with often incidents, but he's pulled it all back together with a 28 car. But the man that's having the race of his life, Alan McCain. Alan seems to have some brilliant races, and then it just doesn't work for him. Then he has some brilliant races again, and then it just doesn't work for him. Well, today's working for Alan McCain. He's led a good couple of laps, has Alan McCain. Gustavo Frigotto finds himself a long way back now. Gustavo was very much in the game. There was no doubt about it. I mean, he was having a stonker of a race, and unfortunately, with all the chops and changes, what's happened, that Honda-powered car of his, the 86, he finds himself 11 seconds back from the frequent flyer, well, now known as the frequent flyer, Alan McCain. Then Jochen Sigurd. We haven't seen that much of Jochen Sigurd. He's 29 seconds down, but he finds himself ahead of the highly acclaimed Mark Sykes. There's Mark Sykes directly in behind him. Let's go on board with Mark Sykes and see what it's like to try and find a way around Jochen Sigurd. A nice turn of speed there by looking out's going to make no difference. He had a look out to that inside line. A bit of an understeer there by Jochen. Pulls it together pretty well after the apex of the bend. He shouldn't need to close off to the right hand side. I think Marky Mark's just a little bit too far back to be able to have a dive. There you see them coming down towards Prima Variante. Variante 1. Marky Mark closes up nice and neat. Does he get good drive out of the corner? Jochen gets enough drive out of the corner just to keep a bit of space between the two of them as they work their way through between the trees. Let's go back to the Sharkman, Nick the Sharkman Cubans. He be looking good. He's got 22 seconds on the man that won the first race, Owen Patterson. Owen's got a bit of space, not a problem. He's got Sean Skitter that's about 2.2 seconds in front of him, but I think he is on a notably faster lap Let's have a look at the last lap times that they actually did. Owen Patterson on a 1:44.1. The man that is coming up behind is Sean Skitter, 1:45.8. So 1.7 seconds that Owen Patterson, the winner of race number 1, lying second in the LMP3s in race number 2, finds himself behind the South African Sean Skitter. And he'll be closing up pretty quickly on that. He's going to have a faster car coming from behind. The car behind him is in fact going to be that man, Wesley Lewin. Wesley Lewin with a 17-second gap from a Jochen Sigurd. But remember, he's going to be closing up pretty quick as they work their way down towards the Parabolica. In the 79 car is Wesley Lewin. Looking pretty good at this stage of the fight. So in the LMP3s, Nick Klebens, the man that's leading them right now. But keep in mind, Nick needs everything that he can get out of this one, because he doesn't have any points in this class at all. So whatever he can get together, that is exactly the amount that he needs. And a win, that'll go just quite fine for the Shark Man. That is what he actually requires right now. And that is what he's doing, because he's actually holding that gap from Owen Patterson. Although Patterson did close down by 0.2 of a second with 20 minutes to go, that is, it doesn't mean anything. There's no rhyme or reason to that one whatsoever. It will just be a case of men doing men things and playing with boys' toys. Owen Patterson, the winner of race number 1, in that second position. He'll be closed down and passed by Paul Williams. The LMdH just blasts past him. Jorge Benitez, 7 seconds further back. Then Mark Baker. He needs to do whatever he possibly can. He's going to be passed by Duncan Murray. But it's actually not a bad spot for him to be passed by Duncan Murray in the LMdH, because as they work their way down to Parabolica, surely he will dive in and take that slipstream. That's exactly what Mark Baker does. Tries to pick up on that slipstream. It looks like Benjamin McCliskey in the background. Yep, it is. There comes Benjamin McCliskey as he works his way past Mike Ridner. He's lying in that second position. Just 19 minutes still to go. They're getting pretty spread out now. Let's do something different. Top speeds. 311 kilometers an hour. Stefan Wessels. The closest to him is Duncan Murray. That's done a 308. Benjamin with a 302. But now, how do you get to that? You have a perfect entry and a perfect exit to a corner on one of the longest straights, and you pick up a slipstream from ideally a car in your own class as well, so that you can have a long run up towards the back of that car, and that is then how you get that kind of top speed. Everybody in the front 7 has done 1 pit stop. Duncan Murray and Paul Williams have had to make 2, and then in the LMP3s 2 for Sean Skitter as well. Let's have a look at the licenses that everybody's got. The 2 Class A's are out front, Stefan Wessels and Benjamin McCliskey. Equal rating, Class B 3.4 for Alan McCain and Gustavo Frigotto. Marky Mark Sykes. And then Jochen Sigurd. Wesley Lewin, a Class C, same as me. I've managed to get up to my Class C already. And ooh, running a little bit wide. There was Benjamin McCliskey. I've managed to get up to a Class C as well. But then look at Jorge Benitez and Mark Baker, 2.4 and 2.1 rating. Mike Ridner on a 2.4 rating as well. Owen Patterson, Class B on a 2.4. Nick Klebens, 4.4 That is a very, very high rating, a 4.4 for that man, Nick Cleveland's on Class B. So he's well on his way to getting up to a Class A ranking. And at the end of this month will in fact be the end of Season 1 for iRacing 2024. So on the 31st of March, those figures will click over. And if he stays at the rating, Duncan Murray into the pits again. If he stays, Nick the Sharkman Cleveland's in the rating that he is, he will then be a Class A on the public forum of iRacing. So with 15 minutes to go, let's have a look from the top and down, and let's have a look at the gains and losses by the different races on the circuit here today. The iconic Monza Grand Prix circuit, 3.6 miles, 5.793 kilometers, built in 1949. And unfortunately, this circuit has claimed the lives of 87 people in the 75 years that this track has existed. Stefan Wessels, 7 positions up on the inverted grid. Benji M is closing. Benji M is looking at Benji Sim photos. That is Benji Sim. Then we've got Gustavo Frigotta. You can see Benji up front there on that specific shot. Then we've got, oh, Alan's gone off. Alan McCain has gone off. Let's see if we can try and pick up what happened to Alan McCain. Yeah, it just got on the gas too loud, too quickly, banged it up against the wall. And, well, after that, he decided no can do. And he actually took it back to the pit lane. So he must have had some extensive damage onto the car. And unfortunately, we've seen, well, he just goes for a straight drive through the pits. It's possible that that was a drive-through penalty that he had to then do there because of the fact that he had too many penalty points against him. That added to it a straight drive-through penalty. Let's see if we can maybe try on the replay and pick up if it was a straight drive-through as such. No, he did actually stop. Well, it was a bit of a stop and go. That's strange. A stop and go for Alan McCain. Well, either way, he did what he needed to do. If it was a drive-through penalty, he did cover it. So, Alan McCain, as we were going through the listing of who's done what and where, goes off, goes into the pits, comes back out on a circuit again. And Alan McCain now finds himself in there behind the pink mean machine of a Nigel Stock, 2 different classes. He'll just go across the left-hand side and blow straight past there. Jochen Sigurd, the next man that's coming through there behind that. Just 3 seconds further back. Then, having been into the pits twice, is Wesley Lewin. He won't be too happy with that Semcrete entry. That's not where Wesley would have liked to have been. And then Paul Williams, not that far behind him as we go into 47 minutes that have been completed of this 1-hour race. The Sharkman, Nick Cleveland's making way there for Benjamin McCliskey to come past him. He leads out on the LMP3 class. He's had a lovely run and he's maintained that 20. Remember we said 22 seconds? Yep, he has managed to maintain. That's my word for the day, maintain. You can't maintain. And he's managed to hold on to that 22 seconds, 21.7 off the back end of Nick Cleveland. So he hasn't been dropped, but he hasn't been able to catch. 10 seconds further back is Jorge Bentes, the man that started in that second position. Mark Baker, he should hold on to the lead in the championship, even with a 4th overall. Mike Ridner, directly in there behind him. He's had one of his best races for the season so far. Nigel Stock in a lonely position, 16 seconds further back. And then Sean Skitter, having been involved in numerous incidents, finds himself in a very lonely position right now. Alan McCain on the back of Mark Sykes. Will he be able to close that gap down? Not simplistically impossible. Let's have a look at the last lap times that they have done. Alan McCain on that last lap was a 1 of 53. Remember, he had to do that to drive-through penalty. So Mark does a 34.7, a 34.4 by the recovering Alan McCain, as he puts Mike Ridner between himself and the man that's trying to close him down, Alan McCain. But I'm sure Alan will get past there pretty quickly. Just blow around the outside. That green dot that you see in front, that is the car that he needs to catch. Mark Sykes with 10 minutes to go. And for those of you that didn't get to join us right at the beginning, we are coming to you from the iconic, very iconic Monza GP layout. Round number 4 of this season number 4 of Protos. Slightly less numbers out there, and look how he's closing down. Look how he's closing down. Alan McCain on the back end of Mark Sykes. He's closed down quite a bit. Alan McCain was just 0.3 quicker on the previous lap. I'm sure there's going to be more, at least the same or more on this lap as he catches up. Oh, big time under braking. Is Mark running out of rubber? It's possible. It's possible. Let's see what kind of times they put up now. Mark Sykes a 34.782. He now does a 35.9 and a 35.0. 9/10 of a second. It's game on between the two of them. Trying Alan McCain to recover a top 3 position. He hasn't got that much time. There's only about 9 minutes left. It'll be probably around about 4 to 4.5 laps. We almost missed, well, we did miss the end of the 20-minute race. It happened so quick. It was tough and it was all over. Mark Britton saying on the live stream, come on, Mr. Baker, you got to get in there. Mark Baker, 4th overall in class, 11 seconds off the back of Jorge Benitez. As we watch Alan McCain closing down on Mark Sykes. That is the closest battle right now. Alan McCain on Mark Sykes. And Alan's got to maybe take the opportunity as they come up. Oh, they made contact. They made a bit of contact, and that is going to be the turnaround. Mark Sykes gets going again. Maybe we must look at that from a onboard perspective of Mark Sykes as to how that one actually played it out. Yeah, he got banged from behind. That is why he ended up going off. Let's see if we can pick that up with a rear shot. Bang into the back corner. That is exactly what happened there. Well, that was a pity, because it was a lovely battle between them up until that point. There he gets going again. Owen Patterson, the man that won race number 1, looks like he's dialed in a little bit too much back brakes on those well-worn tires. Oh no, he picked up that sausage curb and turned it around. Spins it to get it going, wants to get off the grass and back onto the track as quick as possible. So Owen Patterson in that 2nd position. Luckily for Owen, he had a big enough gap ahead of Jorge Benitez at that stage of the fight, so he didn't lose out on the position at all. So Mark Sykes trying to recover, but now Mark Sykes finds himself behind Håkan Sigurd. So that is 2 places that he's gone down as Mark Sykes. As he goes past Jorge Benitez, he's going to have to try and get past Sigurd. He's 0.3 of a second. Should be able to pick up the slipstream from there. Nope, not enough, not yet. Maybe off. Oh, somebody clipping. It must have been Sean Skitter that clipped the edge of the circuit just before that. So can Mark Sykes now close up 0.3 of a second? See a lot of smoke there in the pits. It was Owen Patterson that entered the pit lane and must have locked up. So Owen Patterson is in fact in the pits, and that can cost him, because if Owen Patterson is in the pits, where's Mark Baker? There comes Mark Baker. Where is Owen Patterson? Patterson is only coming out now. That means that Mark Baker is going to go ahead of Owen Patterson, and that in the dying seconds, literally with 5.5 minutes to go. Mark Baker one position behind the man that was one position behind him going into this race. Owen Patterson goes past Mark Baker. Mark went off. Mark's feeling the pressure. Let's see what happens with the Mark as he goes into Prima Variante. Yep, picks up that curbstone. Oops, trying to make sure that there's no contact there. There was Paul Williams, and then Mark Baker that comes back onto the track again. Chaotic moments. Totally chaotic moments that's happening out there. A quick run through the field from the... Oh, looks like Mike Ridner's had an off track, but it wasn't an accident, so that's quite fine. So, Stefan Wessels, the man that leads out, and he will go past Paul Williams and maybe Wesley Lewin before the end of this race. Benjamin McCluskey in close contingency, 3 seconds behind him. Gustavo Frigotto. It all went so well in the Bravo sponsored car originally. And he's now in a lonely third. Or Alan McCain, after that incident coming out of Parabolica and then the stop and go in the pits, finds himself 36 seconds further back. He's got a 4-second gap on Jochen. There you can see him in the front, and Jochen now coming through. Jochen is right in where it counts. Mark Sykes directly there behind him. So Mark Sykes is running out of opportunities. 3.5 minutes left for him to make a move from there. Nick the Sharkman Klibbens leading out his class pretty handsomely. Remember we said the gap was something like 22 seconds, which was being held. With the incidents that's happened behind him, the next man to come through behind Nick Klibbens is in fact going to be Jorge Bentes, 36 seconds further back. So pace is one thing, consistency is another. Jorge Bentes 14 seconds ahead of Owen Patterson, who had the off at the exit of Parabolica, went into the pit lane, had a stop and go and came back out. He's 4 seconds ahead in the same camera shot from Mark Baker, with Mike Ridner directly behind him. But given the pace of Mark Baker and given the pace of Mike Ridner, I don't think that one is going to change itself up. Marky Mark still trying everything he's got. 2.5 minutes to go. That means he's got this lap and one more thereafter. If Mark Sykes wants to pull one over Jochen Sigurd, Benjamin McCluskey goes and puts in the fastest lap time of everybody. A 1:33.504, a PB, a personal best for Benji M. And it's the fastest of everybody. And after 58 minutes, that just shows you he must be fit and flourishing if he can do that right at the end and make it happen, where you really need to be on the pace right at the end. He gets it all right after that long race that he's just been through. 58 minutes and 1.5 minutes still to go for this man. Where is he? He's on his way down Serraglio, down towards Ascari. So he's going to start the last lap probably just after this. Let's see how the time works itself out. Probably going to find that Stefan will start his last lap now. There goes Stefan Wessels. And he starts his last lap. As we enjoy this last lap with Stefan Wessels. It's worked all right for him all day long. And he's back on top of his game. For this, the last lap for Stefan Wessels. Clean out of descriptions of just how good this man is, Stefan Wessels. The hour is up. And look who's joined the game. Benjamin McCliskey. Never ever going to be out of it. He's right in there after 1 hour. Stefan Wessels could not shake this man. Benji M. He'll come through to take the checkered flag. Stefan Wessels comes across the line. Benjamin McCliskey comes across the line. Gustavo Frigotto, as he works his way down towards Parabolica. Mark Baker and Owen Patterson having a massive battle there behind him. Gustavo Frigotto, one of his best. Definitely one of his best. He'll be pretty chuffed with that. He takes the checkered flag. Here comes Alan McCain. He's 39 seconds further back. Nick Clibbons will still have to come across the line. Everybody else in his class in second, third and fourth has already come across the line. Through he comes now. Alan McCain. Moments of brilliance, moments of total despair and heartbreak for him once again in today's race. Alan McCain comes across the line. Sigurd has held off Mark Sykes. He did it. Mark Sykes closed up but couldn't do any more than that. Wesley Lewin will come across the line. Wesley comes through. And then the man that's going to win the LMP3 class, the Shark Man, Nick Clibbons. Oh, he'll be so chuffed with that. He was just streets ahead of everybody else, was the Shark Man, Nick Clibbons. Let's have a look at those results. That is how it's played itself out over this hour. So, wow. How do you describe a race with 17 cars that has got so much action in it? I think the word wow is the one that comes to mind. Nxtgen Racing Proto Season 4 Round 5 from the iconic Monza circuit in this amazing race that we've had for them. It's brilliant stuff. Stefan Wessels that wins out from Benjamin McCliskey, from Gustavo Frigotto, Alan McCain, Jochen Sigurd from Mark Sykes, Wesley Lewin from Paul Williams, and then the Sharkman, Nick Clibbons from Jorge Bentes, Mark Baker that was leading it going into this one, but I think he'll still be a touch ahead of Jorge Bentes, but the gap's going to be closer. Owen Patterson must be smiling all the way to the bank. He had a lovely ride. Mike Ridner has gone from strength to strength and getting better and better as the season goes on. Nigel Stock in the Crest Autosport ahead of the CSA Porsche of Sean Skitter. We lost out on Duncan Murray and we also lost out on Gaza, unfortunately, in that race. And that's a pity, because Gaza is the one that normally just works the whole session up front there, and he's just so exciting in the way that he races. So, folks, that wraps it up for this evening. A big thanks to all of our sponsors. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, and I look forward to seeing you same time next week for the next round of the Nxtgen GT3s. Cheers, everybody, from Second Gear Productions.